Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi. Thank you all for coming. Time to settle in, and we thank the women in the round for our gathering music. Thank you, women in the round, and welcome everybody. I am Robin Sin, a member of your Ministerial Search Committee. I want to thank you all for being here today and extend a special welcome to any visitors. If you would like more information about the fellowship, please visit the welcome table in the fireside room or sign our virtual guest book at uufames.org/give. Today is the beginning of a very special week in the life of UUF Ames. Visitors, this is your clue that today isn't a normal setup. Just so you know, it won't look like this every single Sunday. This is Candidate Week, April 21st through April 28th, when Reverend Kelly Clement and the fellowship continue the process started by the search committee, which is getting to know and learn about each other and build relationships together. So please take advantage of the many events in your schedules and online to learn more about Reverend Kelly this week and share a bit with her about yourself and your hopes for the fellowship. Please note that this week, Reverend Kelly is our minister. Reverend A.J. Galazin, our interim minister, is out of town on purpose. It's part of the whole candidate week process. Reverend Kelly is our minister. So, on April 28th, we'll all be back here again, and after Reverend Kelly's second service, we will have the congregational vote to call. Okay? So, that's the basic idea here. So, on behalf of this caring, nurturing congregation, I welcome each and every one of you to this sacred space. Here we invite you into an experience of transformation, hope, renewal, and connections, which may inspire you to understand life in new ways. Thank you for joining us today.
It's today. Much excitement, love flowing back and forth, and we are all gathered here in this space to share it together. Let's settle in. Welcome to all who seek renewal in a weary world. Welcome to all who come with love and energy to share. Welcome to those who worry about the future, and welcome to each one who is grateful for today. Know that in this place, you are not alone. In community, we share our strength with one another, and we keep the flame of love burning bright. Know that in this place, responsibility is shared. Here, traditions hold us, Ancestors shine a light from the past, and hear the young lift their bright faces, and the young at heart, and beckon us onward. Take my hand, and we can go on together. Let us join in fellowship. In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, and in your tradition, we light a chalice to begin our service together. Today with these words, as surely as we belong to the universe, we belong together. We join here to transcend the isolated self, to reconnect, to know ourselves to be at home, here on the earth, under the stars, linked with each other. Thank you, Ben. And it's always a good time to sing, I think. We're going to sing number 298 from our Gray Songbook, but you don't even need a hymnal today because the words are going to show up here. Wake now my senses. And please stand as you are willing and able to do so. Please be seated. What a choir you are. Beautiful.
It is a day of transitions. As we're saying hello, we're also saying goodbye. Riley, will you please join me up here on the podium? No, it's fine. So Riley's been with us for 5 years now. She's worked with our children and our youth. And it's been wonderful to see everyone hugging you today. It's like you have a whole fan club. And we're really going to miss you. Riley's graduating, and moving to the St. Paul area. Yay! And although we're going to miss you, you're always going to have a home here. So we went to the best place in the world, Ray Gun in Ames. And you have a lovely bag of Ames in here. I know you said you wanted to start cooking, so there's lots of things for your kitchen. Someone in Ames loves me dish towels. And we also got you a certificate to Wildflower Coffee, which is just steps, hopefully, from your apartment, if I stalked you correctly. And Wildflower is a great organization. They actually employ unhoused youth, so they're a nonprofit as well as a great coffee shop. So this is for you, and we'll have cake for you afterwards as well. Would you like to say anything, Jen?
Sure.
Okay.
Again, I told Dana, I was like, we did this last year with Gabby, but I was like, I'm coming back again. Now this is official, actually, even though I'll be here next weekend again. But thank you so much, everyone. I've really loved getting to work with everyone the last 5 years. When I first got this job, I really did not know what the UU was. When I first showed up, I was like, what is this place? But I really loved getting to be a part of everything and really getting to know all the kids. I'm gonna miss everyone and all the youth group, which I know like most of them are not here because they're like, we're not waking up on Sundays. There's a few of them, which good on you guys. But I've had such a great time, and thank you so much. I've loved getting to be a part of it. And yeah, I definitely will come back to visit since my family is still all down here in Iowa, so I'll be coming back and forth quite a bit. But thank you.
Thank you, Riley. And now if we could sing our children to their classes this morning.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Such a lovely sound. We gather here to bring our whole selves, the parts that worry, the parts that are joyful, the parts that don't know what's ahead, the parts that are a little creakier this morning than they were yesterday, the parts that are grateful, all the parts. We bring all the parts of ourselves together here in this moment. And we share our full selves in the knowledge that we hold each other's stories. When we share our joys, they are multiplied as each other holds that with us. When we share our sorrows, our burdens are lightened as we share those with each other. There's so much to worry about in the world today, a world full of war, a world full of unbelievable suffering. I can't wake in the morning or go to sleep at night without thinking of the people in Gaza, the hostages still held in Israel, the people in Ukraine, the people in Sudan, the people, the planet, the animals, all the ways that our world hurts. And yet we can come here, I can bring that broken heart into a room full of people who also have broken and loving hearts. And part of what we do as our congregational enterprise is hold and heal our hearts together. Let's take a moment of silence to recognize that our lives are connected one to another. When I'm breathing, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
Reading this morning is from the Reverend Dr. Kendall Gibbons. She says of her work on spiritual maturity, "This is the kind of person I want to become, finally. Self-aware, reverent, real, strong, compassionate, graceful, humble, loyal, faithful, interdependent, at peace with my mortality, and fluent in the language of the Spirit." Let us take this time to now give and receive our offering. Please know that this morning, half of the non-pledge offering will be donated to All Aboard for Kids, as chosen by our high school youth group. All Aboard for Kids offers summer day camp programs for all students, with a special focus for autistic students entering 6th through 12th grade. Held at the Ames Middle School, their STEAM-based programming of science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics is designed to prevent cognitive regression, ease the transition into the next school year, encourage social skills development with peers, and promote physical activity. The other half of the offering will support programs here in our fellowship that make this a community of inspiration and transformation. We'll pass the baskets here in Fellowship Hall, but alternatively, you can go to uufames.org/give to make a contribution today. If you're visiting today, please know that your presence here is gift enough. And while we pass the offering, we have some special music from Women in the Round.
Well, by now, we know a fair bit about each other. You know some basic biographical information about me, what your amazing ministerial search committee has told you, what Bradley compiled in that lovely brochure. And I know a fair bit about you from the search team and from Reverend AJ and other colleagues. And it's not my first time in this pulpit, you know. I came here at the invitation of Reverend Kent in 2013 to preach about reproductive justice. I was charmed by this congregation, by this space, by the town, and I got the idea that if ever you and I were looking for new ministry at the same time, this could be a good fit. At every step along the way of this search, from the first time the search team and I met over Zoom, we have been affirmed that this could be something good for all of us. Getting to know each other is a long and lovely process. We won't do it all today or all this week. I hope we get to spend several years doing it properly. But today, I want to share with you some of my theological landing places and a little bit of my philosophy of ministry. As you may know from my bio, I grew up in a fundamentalist church, the Church of Christ in Northeast Texas. Now, don't confuse it with the United Church of Christ. Those good progressive Christians. We were to the right of the Southern Baptists. We took the Bible so literally that there were no musical instruments in the church. So consequently, many of us sing harmony fairly well. I was baptized in a lake at church camp when I was 12 years old, and I still feel that mark of inclusion with something bigger than myself. Church was where my family was, where people visited you when you got sick, and there was a blessed assurance of love and belonging. Heaven was a literal place. I was going there, and I would meet my beloveds in the fullness of time in the great hereafter. I was comfortable with my mortality, with growing fluency in the language of the Spirit. Now, this was before the moral majority, the so-called moral majority, made church affiliation a political act. And I don't remember Lamar Avenue Church of Christ being especially right-wing, but it was pretty rigid. Hell was a literal place, too. My family stopped going to church when I was in high school. My mom said it just made her feel bad. She would feel pretty good all week, and then she'd go on Sunday, and it just made her feel bad. I can still see the day I was in a human anthropology course a few years later in college, when my naive worldview just cracked wide open. We were studying the human fossil record, and I had the thought, oh, so naive at this moment, if there have been all of these hominids, these human-like creatures, over all these millennia, then heaven, that literal place, must be really crowded. Whoosh! This faith that I had was not strong enough to withstand my gnawing questions of who am I and how do I make meaning in the world. For the next 15 years, my church was the theater, both community and professional. We made meaning out of human stories, wrestled with the big and the not so big questions, built something creative together, and then did it again and did it again. It helped me become strong, interdependent, and compassionate, curious and courageous. But there was something wrong, and here I discovered that I was an alcoholic. When I got sober in 1997, I found my way back to religious community, this time to answer the question that is implied in the 12 steps. How do I understand God? I knew I couldn't go back to that old man in the sky model. That was not a fit. By this time, I had met and married my husband, Mike, an atheist, a secular humanist. Sometime I'll tell you the story of how we met at a pro-choice rally. Anyway, when I asked a sober sister at an AA meeting about a liberal church, she suggested First Universalist Church in Minneapolis. And I had what I consider the UU conversion moment. When you hear words from the pulpit that you don't have to translate, where no mental gymnastics were required. Oh, it was revelatory. I think I cried for the first 6 weeks. Energized by a deepening sobriety, I felt again that sense of love and belonging, and began to discover self-awareness, reverence, humility, and some measure of grace. Coming up next month, I will mark 27 years of sobriety. And AA meetings are where I still go to church. My theological landing place now is religious naturalism. Here's what Professor Demian Wheeler of United Theological Seminary of the Twin Cities says about religious naturalism. It's a perspective that regards nature as both exhaustive of reality and worthy of deep reverence and devotion. Nature as both exhaustive of reality, it's all there is of reality, and worthy of deep reverence and devotion. On the one hand, nature is all there is. There is no such thing as the supernatural. On the other hand, it is both possible and desirable to live a spiritually fulfilling existence on a completely naturalistic basis. For the religious naturalist, nature itself is capable of evoking awe and wonder and gratitude, amazement, celebration. Nature itself is the object of our ultimate concerns and commitments. Nature itself is sacred, i.e., vitally and centrally important, and thus deserving of our utmost loyalty. Religious naturalism, in short, invites us to respond spiritually, ethically, and even theologically to the mystery, the value, power, beauty, terror, and transcendent depths of this world. Close quote. One way I think about religious naturalism is as interconnected and interdependent reality. Everything is connected, from the tiniest quark to the outer reaches of the universe, the multiverse. In simple and complex ways, it's all connected. And we humans fit within this great chain of being. This theology connects us to reverence, strength, humility. What is our rightful place? Compassion and belonging. And it begins to answer the question, whose am I? Who am I? Whose am I? And whose are we? We belong to each other, and we belong on this great chain of being. Quaker teacher Douglas Steele says that the ancient question, who am I, inevitably leads to a deeper one, whose am I? because there's no identity outside of relationship. Now, folks in more traditional theological communities might answer that question of whose am I? As I belong to God, I belong to Allah, I belong to Jesus. I want to answer that question in a way that lifts up the community itself as transcendent. Steele says you can't be a person by yourself. To ask whose am I is to extend the question far beyond the little self-absorbed self and wonder who needs you, who loves you, to whom are you accountable, to whom do you answer, whose life is altered by your choices, and with whose lives is yours all bound up inextricably in obvious and invisible ways. If we think of where we are on that chain of being, it's not just linear this way. It is that great interconnected web, and we are connected with each other in all sorts of ways. What does it mean to belong to each other, to our families, our friends, our colleagues, our fellow congregants, our pets, our passions? There is an epidemic of loneliness in this country. Some 25% of people report being deeply lonely. I wonder, who's their congregation? Cultivating belonging, reciprocity, and gratitude is medicine for what ails us. I love the congregational enterprise to create something larger together than we could ever do alone, to know each other and allow ourselves to be known, to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. Whew, that's hard work. That's hard work and deeply spiritual work to allow ourselves to be known in our strength and in our vulnerability. To heal the wounds that some of us may have from the faith of our upbringing and move on from those wounds. Now, not everybody in UUF Ames or in Unitarian Universalism is a come-outer from other faiths. Some of you grew up here. But many of us are come-outers from other faiths. And we like to bang on those other faiths. Now, sometimes folks do come and they have legitimate religious trauma. That's a real thing, and I think it deserves attention and respect. But sometimes we're just mad. Sometimes we're just mad at bad theology. And I think bad theology does some things that are pretty harmful. But you won't hear me Christian bashing, and I don't have much time for it, and I'll tell you why. Now, Christian nationalism and authoritarianism must be called out. But we have too many allies among progressive Christians to let unqualified Christian bashing get in our way. There is too much work to do. We need to be good allies, and we need all the allies we can get. I'm pretty firm on that. So what I hope we can do on our road to spiritual maturity is to help heal our wounds, help heal our religious wounds, and move forward to greater spiritual maturity. I don't say it's easy, but it is a way to move past being mad about what there was and be an example for what is good in the world. This is a life-saving faith. Unitarian Universalism is a life-saving faith. People are able to come here and be fully who they are, LGBTQIA++. to be fully who they are, believing that the boundaries can be more and more open, and that people can come here and be vulnerable and allow ourselves to be known to get it wrong. As we work toward justice, we will get it wrong. I know that as I work toward racial justice in the world, I wake up in the morning thinking, I'm just going to mess that up today. And know that that's okay. We can get it wrong and move forward. Because if we're afraid to get it wrong, then we can't move forward. I think that's what spiritual maturity helps us do, is be vulnerable, make mistakes, and step forward again in love. Yes, I saw that. Because we belong to each other, and we also belong to the wider community. They need us. We belong to the wider community because we believe together in a more just and loving world. Nature needs us. The planet needs us. We belong to our past. Those brave souls who gathered this congregation together. And we belong to our future, those who are coming after, who will need to know that we made good and wise decisions. You will have lots of questions for me this week, I expect. I've already heard some good ones. And I have questions for you. On your tables, now you don't have to dig them out right now, but I'll tell you, in the baskets, there are some note cards that ask 3 questions. What is your biggest dream for UUF Ames? What's your greatest concern for this congregation? And what do you love the most? I want to hear from you. What is your biggest dream here? And what's your greatest concern? And then we'll be able to see the gap between the big dream and the great concern, and what do we need to do to fill those gaps? And what do you love the most? Let's amplify that. Let's amplify what we love. There is more love here and somewhere. So also in the basket is a little round seed card, and you can just take that and plant that seed in that little card in your garden. I'm told that wildflowers will bloom. Isn't that something? So this week, when you come to our various events, the potlucks and the meetings and so on, I hope that you will have filled out these cards and give them to me so that I can hear from you what you are thinking about. I'll be asking those questions this week, and then you'll hear some of that reflected back to you next Sunday as we talk about what I'm thinking about shared ministry. Of the congregations that I was looking at, I was very eager to see your desire to continue a powerful sense of shared ministry. So next week I'll talk about the twin engines of shared ministry and what that means to me. The Reverend Dr. Kendall Gibbons says of her work on spiritual maturity has been shared with us before. This is the kind of person that I want to become, finally. Self-aware, reverent, real, strong, compassionate, graceful, humble, loyal, faithful, interdependent. We might add our own words there. Creative, courageous. At peace with my own mortality and fluent in the language of the Spirit. This is individual and collective work, and responsible and loving leaders model and encourage growth toward spiritual maturity. I want to be your partner in that. In seminary, I got the message that I would not be the only one looking for the best way for me to serve. Some of my classmates called that God. That's okay. I don't begrudge their belief. I call it our mutual longing for a better world. Aided by your mighty search committee, by the wonderful Unitarian Universalist Transitions Office and their process, to which the MFC has been so faithful. To changes in my own current ministry that make now the right time for me to seek new horizons. So whether or not you call me as your next settled minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Ames, and I dearly hope you do, we already belong to each other. We are rooting for each other to have the best fit, yearning for spiritual maturity, for love and belonging. May it be so, and blessed be. And now we get to sing together. Number 1008, it's in the Teal Songbook, but the lyrics will come up here. When our heart is in a holy place, please stand as you are willing and able. Please remain standing for these closing words of Sarah Laval. May we remember our shared humanity, our universal kinship, our interdependence, as we unclench our fists and breathe together, breathing in love and breathing out peace, breathing in love and breathing out peace. May we recognize the spark of the divine inside all of us, even those we are not quite sure about. Blessed be, and go in peace.